chosen one. You are passing through a season in which the things that once felt familiar no longer possess enough power to keep your heart where it has always been. And I want you to understand that this change does not necessarily mean you have lost your way. It may be an invitation to slow down, look more deeply, and choose a more truthful way of living. I am not telling you to panic, nor am I asking you to believe that a single moment will determine your entire future. I simply want you to become fully present with yourself, because great transformation often begins not with thunder across the heavens, but with one quiet realization. You no longer want to continue living as you did before. Archangel Michael, my faithful messenger and protector who carries out my will, has been sent to remind you of that courage. Not to make you afraid of darkness, but to help you remember that truth, integrity, and faith are always stronger than whatever confuses you. And I remain here, speaking directly to you with the love of a father, so that you will know you do not need to chase mysterious signs or rush to prove anything. You need only to become calm, listen, and be honest about what is taking place within your heart. Perhaps recently, you have felt restless without understanding why. There are nights when you lie still while your mind continues moving through countless questions. At times, you feel tired, unable to concentrate, or no longer interested in the things that once brought you joy. Do not immediately conclude that every such feeling carries a supernatural meaning, but neither should you dismiss the message your inner life may be trying to send. Your body and emotions deserve to be cared for with awareness. If you frequently experience sleeplessness, difficulty breathing, chest pain, exhaustion, or prolonged sadness, seek qualified support. Faith does not require you to deny your health. On the contrary, knowing when to seek help is also an expression of wisdom. At the same time, within the quiet created by that care, you may ask yourself, what needs to change? Is there a burden I have carried for too long? Is there pain I am still hiding? Is there a way of living that is carrying me farther from peace? These questions are not intended to condemn you. They gently open a door through which you may return to the truth. I know there have been nights when you awakened, and one thought followed another until you blamed yourself for being unable to calm down. My beloved child, do not turn exhaustion into a judgment against yourself. Sometimes your mind is merely trying to process what you did not have enough space to face during the day. Perhaps you have remained strong for too long, cared for too many people, swallowed too many words you wanted to speak, and lived according to the expectations of others, until you forgot the honest voice within you. Therefore, instead of forcing yourself to understand everything immediately, learn to sit down, breathe slowly, write down what is troubling you, and allow yourself to rest. Maturity does not mean controlling every emotion at all times. It is revealed in the way you treat yourself when your heart is confused. I am not far from you in those nights. I am near in every breath, in the glass of water you drink, in your decision to reduce the noise, and in the courage with which you admit that you need support. Perhaps you have also noticed that conversations that once fascinated you now feel empty. Certain pleasures no longer bring the happiness they once did. There are places where you once longed to belong. Yet now, whenever you enter, you feel that you must make yourself smaller or put on an image that no longer fits. This does not mean you are superior to others, nor does it give you permission to despise those who continue choosing a different way of life. It may simply mean that your values are changing. As your awareness grows, you will no longer seek acceptance at any cost. You begin to value relationships with depth, words spoken sincerely, and silence that does not need to be filled with forced laughter. Yet I want you to leave what is no longer healthy with gratitude rather than bitterness. Do not turn your awakening into a reason to isolate yourself. Preserve necessary boundaries, but do not close the door of love. Some people will not understand why you are changing. They may say that you have become distant, difficult to approach, or unlike the person you once were. You do not need to argue in order to defend every step of your growth. Allow the way you live to answer in place of lengthy explanations. If change has truly come from light, it will make you more humble, kinder, more willing to listen, and more responsible. It will not cause you to imagine yourself more special than everyone else, nor will it make you view life through suspicion. True renewal does not nourish pride. It helps you recognize that everyone is fighting battles you cannot see. Therefore, even when you need to step away from certain relationships, you can leave without cursing, exposing, or retaliating. You can say goodbye in peace and keep the lesson rather than the wound. I also know that you once interpreted repeated difficulties as evidence that everything was working against you. One criticism caused you to doubt yourself. An unexpected expense caused you to lose direction. A damaged relationship made you believe that you were failing. A period of unstable health caused you to fear the future. But, my beloved child, not every hardship is an attack, and not every obstacle hides a conspiracy intended to prevent you from moving forward. Life contains complicated seasons in which several problems may appear at once without carrying some secret meaning. What matters is not finding someone to blame, but learning to respond to circumstances with awareness. You can seek advice when finances are difficult. Ask for support when your emotional strength is low. Receive medical care when your health shows concerning signs, and speak honestly when a relationship becomes strained. I do not teach you to escape reality. I teach you to walk through reality with faith, wisdom, and courage. What once wounded you does not have to determine who you become. You are still standing here, not because you have never been weak, but because endurance was formed within you every time you fell and rose again. You survived days when you did not know how to continue. You endured words that caused you to diminish yourself. You once gave too much merely to be kept, remained silent to avoid displeasing others, and spoke of forgiveness while pain still remained within you. Today, I do not ask you to deny any of it. I only invite you to stop allowing the past to take the wheel. Pain may explain some of your reactions, but it does not need to become your identity. What others did may have hurt you, but the power to choose your next step still remains in your hands. The awakening I desire within you is not the feeling that you have been granted a position above others. It is the ability to see your own life clearly and courageously make corrections. It is the moment you recognize that you need to apologize to someone. It is when you stop blaming and begin accepting responsibility. It is when you no longer take pride in working until exhaustion, no longer call limitless self-sacrifice love, and no longer confuse fearful silence with patience. You begin to understand that peace does not mean pleasing everyone. It means living according to good values, even when doing so requires difficult choices. You do not need to be perfect in order to begin. You only need enough honesty to recognize the small step before you. The changes you make today may become a gift to those who come after you. but not through a mystical declaration that the problems of many generations will disappear in an instant. A good legacy is formed through consistent choices. When you learn to regulate anger rather than release it upon others, you prevent one wound from continuing into the future. When you seek help to heal old pain, you create a safer home. When you keep your word, live honestly, manage money responsibly, and speak with love, you lay the first stones of a new foundation. When you refuse to use silence as punishment, guilt as control, or fear as a method of teaching, you change the way love is passed from one person to another. These things may not be dramatic, but they create a new current within your family. Do not carry upon your shoulders the pressure to rescue your entire family line. You were not born to repair alone everything that went wrong in the past. You need only to do your part faithfully. Learn to apologize when you hurt someone. Forgive, but understand that forgiveness does not mean allowing the same harm to continue. Love your parents and relatives, but do not lose yourself in exchange for their approval. Care for your children, or those entrusted to you with patience, while also teaching responsibility. Create a home where people can speak honestly without being mocked. Show weakness without being despised, and correct mistakes without being permanently imprisoned by them. This is how a family is renewed. Not through grand declarations, but through love practiced in ordinary days. Remember that my protection does not make you invulnerable to all hardship. It gives you the discernment to know what should continue, what must stop, and when support is needed. Michael stands as a symbol of loyalty and courage, reminding you not to run from truth or use violence against anyone. The sword of integrity is not used to harm people. It helps you sever lies, resentment, and self-destructive habits that have bound you. When you say no to what exhausts you, you are protecting what is good within. When you refuse to answer bitterness with bitterness, you are winning a quiet battle. When you choose truth instead of image, responsibility instead of excuses, and compassion instead of revenge, you are walking in the strength I desire to cultivate within you. Do not wait for a spectacular event before allowing yourself to change. Your life is built through very small decisions. You can begin by sleeping more, eating regularly, stepping outside to breathe, and reducing what overwhelms your mind. You can call someone you trust, schedule an appointment with a professional if heavy emotions continue, or admit that you can no longer carry everything alone. You can organize a corner of your home, complete something you have delayed, apologize to someone, forgive yourself for an old mistake, or write down the way you want to live differently. Do not despise simple beginnings. A new life rarely appears through one enormous leap. It is usually created by many small steps, taken in the right direction. As you move forward, release the need to be understood by everyone. Some people will know only the former version of you. Some will remember your mistakes longer than you do. Some will not believe you have changed until they witness consistency over time. You do not need to become angry with them. Allow time and action to testify. You must also learn to forgive yourself, because you cannot build a peaceful future if you continue standing before the court of memory each day to condemn yourself. Accept responsibility for what you did, repair what can be repaired, and then permit yourself to grow. Regret becomes useful only when it leads to transformation. If it merely causes you to hate yourself, it no longer serves anything good. I do not promise that every road will become smooth from this point forward, that every problem will disappear immediately, or that every prayer will be answered according to your desire. But I remind you that you do not have to face tomorrow as the same person you were yesterday. You can learn, change, and choose again. You can step out of patterns that caused suffering. You can build relationships founded upon respect. You can use difficult experiences to become compassionate rather than bitter. You can become the person you once needed beside you, someone who listens, does not rush to judge, and does not abandon others when they are weak. Therefore, my beloved child, rise with a strength that is quiet but enduring. Release the negative words you have repeated about yourself. Abandon the thought that it is too late to begin again. Forgive others so that your heart is no longer tied to their actions, while maintaining wise boundaries to protect your peace. Forgive yourself for the times when you did not know how to act more wisely, and use today's understanding to live differently. You do not need to transform everything in one day. Choose one good thing, practice it sincerely, and tomorrow add another. I am with you in every small step. I am present in the calmness with which you refuse to answer anger with anger. I am present in your gratitude when you recognize the simple things that still sustain your life. I am present in the hope with which you dare to believe that the past cannot write the ending. Walk with a heart that is tender but steady, eyes that are awake but not suspicious of everyone, and a faith that is deep but not separated from reality. Be kind when no one is watching. Keep your word in small matters. Care for your health. Appreciate those who love you, and carry peace into every place you enter. You do not need to create a perfect life. You need only to build an honest life that knows how to love, correct itself, and begin again. Every day you live in this way, the light within you grows, and this is the most beautiful transformation. I desire to see, pause the noise surrounding you, because what I want to place within your heart is not pressure that creates fear, but a gentle invitation to examine the way you are living. Perhaps you have moved through many days with heavy shoulders, an endlessly occupied mind, and a heart that rarely receives true rest. You awaken, fulfill your responsibilities, care for others, and solve one problem after another. Yet deep within you remains a quiet emptiness asking, where am I going? And what within my life needs to change? Today is not your final deadline, nor is it a moment you must seize in panic. Yet today can become a beginning if you are willing to slow down, become honest with yourself, and open your heart to my guidance. I have not come to make you afraid that a door will close unless you move quickly enough. I have come to remind you that the door leading back to peace, honesty, and a good life remains open whenever you choose to walk through it. My beloved child, many significant changes do not begin with a loud event. They begin when you recognize that you can no longer live according to old habits, old fears, and harsh ways of treating yourself. Perhaps recently you have felt restless, unable to focus, or no longer satisfied by what once made you happy. At times you look at your familiar room, familiar work, or familiar relationships, and feel as though you are standing far away. Do not immediately assume that something is wrong with you, but neither should you ignore those feelings. They may be telling you that you are tired, that an important need has been neglected, that there is grief you have never named, or that a certain direction needs to be reconsidered. I want you to listen inwardly with patience, neither interpreting everything through fear nor turning every feeling into a mystical sign. Wisdom is always accompanied by calmness, truth, and the ability to examine life clearly. I know there are nights when you lie down but your mind refuses to rest. Questions, memories, unfinished plans, and words others once spoke return again and again. You watch the hours pass, and the more you want to sleep, the more tense you become. Then you awaken exhausted and blame yourself for not being strong enough. My child, sleeplessness is not your fault, nor is it proof that your faith is weak. Your mind may be carrying too much pressure. Your body may need care, or your present rhythm of life may have exceeded your capacity. If this continues, seek appropriate professional support. I do not teach you to deny signs of poor health in order to prove faith. Listening to your body, receiving help, and permitting yourself to rest are also acts of humility. During difficult nights, instead of forcing yourself to understand everything, breathe more slowly, write down the thoughts burdening you, reduce the light, and place what cannot yet be resolved into my hands. Not every problem needs an immediate answer. Some things become clear only after you have rested. Prolonged exhaustion should not be treated as something you must endure in order to become stronger. I do not delight in seeing you depleted while you call it devotion. I do not ask you to neglect yourself in order to prove that you are useful. Perhaps you have become accustomed to accepting more responsibilities, agreeing to every request, and attempting to please everyone. You fear that saying no will disappoint others, that resting will be considered laziness, or that admitting weakness will destroy the strong image you have built. But, my beloved child, you were not created to live like a vessel that continually pours out and is never refilled. You need sleep, nourishing food, appropriate movement, safe conversations, and time when you are not required to solve every problem. When you respect your limitations, you are not becoming selfish. You are learning to preserve the gift of life that has been entrusted to you. Perhaps you once believed that only after your own strength was completely exhausted could my power become present. But I do not need to destroy you in order to teach you dependence. I do not weaken you to make you more spiritual. I lead you through love, wisdom, and truth. There are seasons in which you must learn that true strength is not pushing yourself until collapse, but knowing when to stop. It is not carrying everything alone, but knowing how to ask for help. It is not hiding tears, but allowing emotion to be expressed in a safe place. It is not always appearing fine, but honestly admitting that you need time to heal. When you stop relying upon absolute control, you begin to understand that I can work through rest, waiting, and quiet spaces you once considered useless. Archangel Michael, my faithful messenger and protector who carries out my will, is mentioned, so that you will remember that courage is not always a loud declaration before a crowd. Often, it is simply the decision to face truth in silence. The protection Michael symbolizes does not separate you from reality or cause you to view every difficulty as an attack. It reminds you to keep your mind clear, protect healthy boundaries, and stand firm against whatever attempts to pull you back into chaos. You are invited to cut away the lies that claim you must be perfect to deserve love, must endure everything to be considered good, or have become too late to change. You do not need strength to fight against people. What you must overcome is bitterness, the habit of belittling yourself, fear of rejection, and the choices that continually carry you farther from peace. I want you to look at your home, not while waiting for an extraordinary event, but in order to recognize the ordinary things that need healing. Are there words that have not yet been spoken with kindness? Is there conflict that continues, because everyone wants to be understood, but no one is willing to listen? Is there a room filled with things you no longer need but cannot release? Is there a habit that has caused the family to grow distant, even though everyone still lives under the same roof? Meaningful change may begin with a meal without phones, an apology without excuses, a decision to speak truth without causing harm, or time intentionally given to those you love. Do not despise simple things. Many homes do not need a loud miracle. They need presence, patience, and people willing to change the way they treat one another. Look also at your own life. Perhaps you have lived for too long, according to the expectations of others. You chose work because you feared judgment, remained in a relationship because you feared loneliness, continued in a role because you did not want to disappoint anyone, or stayed silent about what hurt you merely to preserve the appearance of peace. I am not telling you to abandon everything suddenly. I only ask you to become honest. Honesty does not destroy what is good. It helps good things to be built upon a stronger foundation. Ask yourself what nourishes you and what drains you, what comes from love and what comes from fear, what requires greater perseverance and what has reached the time for change. Do not search for answers in haste. Give yourself time to pray, reflect, speak with trustworthy people, and observe the fruit produced by each choice. Perhaps you sense a desire to live more meaningfully. This does not necessarily mean you must do something great before the eyes of the world. A purposeful life is often revealed through the way you fulfill small responsibilities. You can bring light into your workplace through honesty. You can serve your family through patience. You can support someone who is grieving by listening without immediately offering advice. You can begin using your time, money, and abilities more responsibly. You can abandon a harmful habit, learn a new skill, or complete something you have delayed for a long time. Not every calling leads to a stage. Some callings lead you back to the kitchen, the desk, the classroom, the neighborhood, and the people you meet each day. It is within these ordinary places that your character is shaped and your love becomes visible. I know you desire clear confirmation that everything will change, but, my beloved child, I do not want you to place hope in a promise that every difficulty will disappear today. I want to give you a deeper hope. You can change the way you walk through difficulty. You can stop reacting with anger and begin responding calmly. You can stop escaping your emotions and learn to understand them. You can stop waiting for another person to repair your life and begin accepting responsibility for your part. You can stop treating the past as a sentence and begin seeing it as a teacher. Some circumstances cannot change immediately, but you can still choose your attitude, boundaries, words, and next step. Every right choice, however small, is quietly adjusting the direction of your life. When your heart feels restless, do not immediately believe that time is running out. Perhaps you simply need to pause. When your chest feels heavy, breathing becomes difficult, or anxiety appears often, do not diagnose it as a spiritual sign. Care for your health and seek help when necessary. I will never require you to sacrifice safety in order to pursue a mystical interpretation. My guidance does not cause panic, separate you from reason, or lead you to ignore sound advice. It returns you to order, peace, and responsibility. A good voice does not frighten you with punishment if you fail to act quickly enough. It helps you recognize the right step and gives you patience to take it steadily. Remember that no single day determines the complete value of your life. You will have many opportunities to learn, correct mistakes, and begin again. Yet do not use this as a reason to delay forever. If you know within your heart that you need to apologize, begin preparing sincere words. If you know that a habit is harming you, seek a method and support for change. If you have neglected your health, reorganize your schedule. If you feel alone, reach out to someone trustworthy. If you carry resentment, begin the journey of releasing it. Not because what another person did was right, but because you no longer want to give the wound authority over your life. Forgiveness may require time, and it does not require you to return to a place that caused harm. Forgiveness is the decision, not to continue feeding poison within the heart. I have not led you here so that you would become an entirely different person after one emotional moment. I invite you into a steady journey. Today you may choose kinder words. Tomorrow you may preserve a clearer boundary. The following day you may spend time caring for your health, learning to manage money, or correcting a mistake. These changes may seem small, but over time they create a new person. Not someone who never falls, but someone who rises with wisdom. Not someone who no longer feels pain, but someone who does not allow pain to create bitterness. Not someone who possesses every answer, but someone humble enough to continue learning. Therefore, my beloved child, receive today as a gift rather than a threat. Let it become the day when you stop running from yourself, stop calling exhaustion strength, and stop calling fearful silence peace. Open a window, breathe slowly, bring order to what has become chaotic, and choose one good thing with which to begin. Thank the person who has remained beside you. Apologize where you have caused harm. Forgive yourself for the times when you did not possess enough understanding to act more wisely. Release the negative names you have given yourself. You are not yesterday's failure. You are not another person's judgment. You are someone learning how to live honestly, love, and mature. I remain with you when strong emotions have passed and life returns to ordinary rhythms. I am present. In the mornings when you faithfully rise, in decisions no one sees, in the gentle words you choose instead of harmful ones, and in every moment when you courageously ask for help. Move forward without fear, but also without haste. Be grateful that you still have the opportunity to change. Hold on to hope, because a new chapter does not need to begin with a loud sound. It needs only to begin with an honest heart. Live more kindly than yesterday, more calmly before difficulty, more compassionately toward others, and more gently toward yourself. Through days lived in this way, you will not only transform the house in which you live, but also build within your heart a dwelling place of peace, faith, and love that cannot easily be shaken.